करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घायते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणम्। नमयों विष्णुपादाय श्रीगौरप्रियमूर्तये श्रीमते भक्तिवल्लभतीर्थगोस्वामिनामिने कृपया क्षमतामपराधिजनं खलुषायुतशक्तसुदीननरं सुपथे परिचालय सर्वदिनं प्रणमामि च माधवदेवपदं वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्यश्च च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो महावदान्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकाकान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते। श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। We are still in Hindi class. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, 6th chapter. So, yesterday we heard that by listening Srimad Bhagavatam attentively, one will attain devotion to the lotus feet of Supreme Lord. Sa sanghitang bhagavating kritvānukramya chatmajam shukam adhyapayamasa nivritti niratang munim। सेई महर्षि वेदव्यास এই पारमहंस संहिता श्रीमद् भागवत प्रणयन एवं क्रमविधान करिया विषयशक्ति अर्थात भोग तृष्णा विरहित भगवन मननारत स्वीय पुत्र श्री सुखदेव के अध्ययन कराइयाछिलेन। So Vedavyasa Muni, thus he has compiled this beautiful Purana, Srimad Bhagavat Mahapurana, and gradually he made his son Sukadeva Goswami, who was always in the meditation on the Lord, he was constantly in the meditation of the Lord. To him also he made or he taught Srimad Bhagavatam gradually, step by step he taught him Srimad Bhagavatam. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur writes in the commentary, Anantar Shri Vedavyasa sei prayojana rupa premer brahmananদের अनुभव হইতেও परमत्व अनुभव করিয়াছিলেন ও প্রেমানন্দের বৈশিষ্ট্য দর্শন করাইবার জন্য তাহাকে এই শ্রীমদ্ ভাগবত অধ্যয়ন করাইয়াছিলেন। Vedavyasa Muni, thus he could understand Krishna Prema, love to Krishna as the ultimate goal of life, and that is beyond the Brahman realization. Because earlier he had given only up to liberation. But now, after receiving the instructions from Narada Goswami, he could understand that prema is our prayojana, that divine love is our ultimate goal of life. There are basically the Vedas, the Shruti Shastras, all of them, they principally talk about the four goals of life: dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. Religiosity, sense gratification, economic development, and liberation. Out of which liberation is the topmost attainment. These are called purusharthas. These are the objectives of human birth. Means what is the goal? What is the ultimate target? But Srimad Bhagavat is the one that awards beyond these four attainments, which is Krishna Prema. So Vedavyasa Muni could understand Krishna Prema as the topmost prayojan or necessity, and he also realized that it is superior to Brahmananda. One is Premananda and other is Brahmananda. Premananda is superior to Brahmananda. Those who have attained Premananda, for them Brahmananda is just like water that is contained in the calf's hoof print. Only that much. Whereas Premananda is like an ocean. So when one wants to compare between Premananda and Brahmananda, if Premananda is like a mighty ocean which has no boundaries, Brahmananda is just like a water that is contained in a hoof print of a calf. That's all. So Vedavyasa Muni could understand the supremacy of this, and thus he made even his son Sukadeva Goswami, who was Brahmanishta, Brahma Ekanishta, was completely fixed in the Brahman. He made him also listen to Srimad Bhagavatam, because he wanted Sukadeva Goswami to also taste the sweetness of Premananda. He has already tasted Brahmananda, which is many folds above this material pleasure. There is no comparison at all. So that he has tasted. But Vedavyasa wanted him to taste something supreme, that is Premananda. এই সংসারে দেখা যায় পিত্রাদি কোনো অপূর্ব মিষ্ট বস্তু আস্বাদন করিলে অবশ্যই পুত্রাদিকে সেই বস্তুর আস্বাদন করাইতে যত্নবান হন। এই জন্য বলিতেছেন তিনি বেদব্যাস এই ভাগবত সংহিতা প্রণয়ন এবং সংশোধন করিয়া। So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is giving a nice example so that we all understand. Just like when a father, he receives some very delicious or very sweet item and he tastes that it's very nice, immediately he'll think, okay, I'll keep it for my child. He wants his child also to eat that. So just like the sweetness that the father tastes, he reserves for the son, or he wants to give it to his son, in a similar manner Vedavyasa Muni, who has tasted the sweetness of divine love, he wanted to give his son also that sweetness, sweetness of Krishna Prema. এই ভাগবত সংহিতা প্রণয়ন, thus he has written ভাগবত সংহিতা এবং সংশোধন করিয়া, অর্থাৎ প্রথমত স্বয়ং সংক্ষিপ্ত ভাবে ভক্তিযুক্ত করতঃ पश्चात श्री नारदेर उपदेश अनुसारे श्रीमद् भगवत भक्तियै एकमात्र प्राधान्य रूपे क्रम विधान पूर्वक संशोधन करिया श्री सुखदेव के अध्ययन कराइलेन এই अर्थ। So for that what he did is he has compiled Srimad Bhagavatam, and how he has written Srimad Bhagavatam. In the very beginning he has given a very brief knowledge about bhakti. What is bhakti? How is it important? Initially, he has given only a synopsis of bhakti, and gradually he elaborated on that bhakti, and he has established bhakti as the topmost path, as explained by Narada. Because Narada told, if you remember, in one of the instructions he gave to Vyasa, he tells that so far you have established dharma, artha, kama and moksha as the main paths. Even though you described about bhakti, you have not described the supremacy of bhakti, or you have not exclusively sung the glories of bhakti yoga. You have sung the glories of everything, and together you said bhakti is also important. No, you have to sing the exclusive glories or glories of bhakti exclusively, nothing else. Therefore, initially in Srimad Bhagavatam, he gave a synopsis about bhakti, but later he went on to explain how bhakti is the only thing that is required for all the living entities. And after doing this, he made his own son Sukadeva Goswami taste this sweetness of Srimad Bhagavatam. श्री वेदव्यासेर प्रति श्री नारदेर सेई उपदेश श्री कृष्णेर अंतर्धानेर पर एवं श्री परीक्षित कर्तृक कली निग्रहेर पूर्वे जानिते होइबे। तत्काले कली कर्तृक स्वाधिकार आरंभ और स्वप्राबल्य प्रकटन हेतु धार्मिक गणेर एवं शास्त्रदर्शी गणेरु अधर्मे प्रवृत्त दृष्ट होइयाचिलो. So now Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is writing here, when was this Srimad Bhagavat compiled? He's telling that from this particular conversation between Narada and Vedavyasa, we have to understand that Srimad Bhagavat has been compiled after the departure of Supreme Lord Sri Krishna into his abode, after he departed, and before Parikshit Maharaj had controlled Kali, or before Parikshit Maharaj had driven away Kali from his place. So this has happened when Krishna left and before Kali was controlled by Parikshit, which means Kali already got onset. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is writing that Srimad Bhagavat was written because as soon as Krishna departed, Kali Yuga began. But by this time, Parikshit has not yet brought Kali under control. So, even at that time, it is being said, by the influence of Kali, slowly, dharmik, those who are religious, and shastradarshi, and those who have the knowledge of the scriptures, even they also started to slowly degrade towards adharma, because Kali has already begun and Kali has not yet brought under control by Parikshit Maharaj. Therefore, even those religious persons, previously religious, as well as those who are keep the knowledge of the scriptures, even they slowly started to degrade or become irreligious. This was the time. जे कारणे, Parikshit Maharaj was a very pious king. He came in the lineage of Pandavas. Therefore, naturally, he had attraction towards Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. He was protected by the Lord in the womb of Uttara, when he was in the womb of Uttara. So he got darshan of the Lord even when he was in the womb. He was a very pious king. But how come Parikshit Maharaj, he became so insane that he, had put a snake around the neck of, the Samika Rishis? How did he do that? He was thinking, why did it happen? Because he is not the one who would disrespect the sadhus. He was thirsty, that's fine, but for the thirst he would disrespect a sadhu that is not the case. He was thinking. Then he realized that he had actually worn golden helmet. He has a helmet which is made of gold. In the Kirita it's called crown. He was having that crown on top of his head, and then it is due to that, because that is the place of Kali. Gold is the place. He gave 4 places, and then Kali asked, give me one more place, and the 5th one is that crown or the gold, and his helmet is made of gold. And then after he had removed the helmet from his head, he came back to the house. That is when he realized, oh, this is the Kali's place. Kali was sitting right on the top of my head, due to which this offense has been committed. So this is the influence of Kali, that even the religious persons, they become irreligious. This is the great influence of Kali. Je karane Vyasadever chitter aprasannata, and that is also the reason for Vedavyasa's dissatisfaction, that everyone is becoming irreligious and also Kali has begun. So these are all the indications, or you can say bad omens, something bad is going to happen. So Vedavyasa was also feeling dissatisfied or not having peace because of the onset of Kali. जेहेतु श्री भागवते प्रथम स्कंदे पंचम अध्याय श्री नारद कर्तृक उक्त होइयाछे स्वभावतः काम्य कर्मादिते अनुरागी पुरुषेर पक्षे तुमी निंदनीय काम्य कर्मादि धर्मार्थे अनुशासन करियाछो इहाते तोमार महा अन्याय होइयाछे कारण तोमार वाक्ये विश्वास करिया इतर व्यक्तिगण काम्य कर्मादि के मुख्य धर्म रूपे स्थिर करियाछे এখন তত্ত্বজ্ঞের নিবারণ বা তুমি স্বয়ং নিবারণ করিলেও আর মান্য করতেছেন না। In Srimad Bhagavatam, 1st canto, 5th chapter, the conversation between Narada and Vedavyasa. Narada is telling to Vedavyasa, means some portions before what we have already read. Narada is telling to Vedavyasa that the living entities are already attached to the sense gratificatory activities because Kali has begun. The living entities are naturally attached to sense gratificatory activities and they are engaged in all these dharma, artha, kama activities. They are naturally engaging because they have got the natural tendency. But on top of it, you have written the scriptures in order to enhance such their desires further. By this you have done a great abominable thing. You have not done a right thing because Kali has already begun, and because of the influence of Kali, people are already naturally they have got inclination to sense gratification. Thus, by writing the literature, promoting them to engage more in such activities, you have done an abominable job. And person like you, Vedavyasa, if you have given such a scriptures for them, they will take this as an evidence. Because Vedavyasa is Jagat Guru, he has told us to do this. The way you have established the Kamya Karma, means the fruitive activities, material activities, so profoundly that even if you say that don't do this, people will not believe. You have already established that because they got natural inclination, and then you have made it so deep rooted in their heart that even now if you tell them, it doesn't look like they are not going to listen to this. Don't engage in fruitive activities. Even if you say now, they will not accept it. এখানে কলিযুগের পূর্বেই ব্যাসদেবের চিত্তের অপ্রসন্নতা হইলে মূল শ্লোকে না মন্যতে এই বর্তমান কালের ক্রিয়ার পরিবর্তে নাম মাংস্যতে অর্থাৎ নিবারণ মানবে না এইরূপ ভবিষ্যৎ কালের প্রয়োগ হইত। So, actually, through some Sanskrit words, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is trying to tell that if Kali Yuga had not begun, and before Kali Yuga itself, if Vyasa was, not feeling satisfied, then it would have been told that in the future they will not hear what you say. But Narada is telling that they are already not hearing. Means they are already not accepting the true dharma, which means Kali has already begun. Okay, if you have not understood, I will paraphrase it again. It's basically through present tense and future tense, the usage of the language. The word used is na manyate, they are not accepting. Okay, Vedavyasa, Narada Goswami is telling that they are not accepting now, which means they are in the present age of Kali already. Otherwise, he is telling that na mansyate, they will not accept, would have been used. Narada is not telling they will not accept, he is not saying that, he is telling that they are not accepting it, which means they are already in Kali Yuga. So, basically, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur wants to prove here that this Bhagavad Samhita has been written after the onset of Kali Yuga, not before that. That is what it is indicating, because people have already become irreligious and they are not accepting. This is what he wanted to say. Is it clear? अतएव सेई पूर्व निर्मित श्री भागवतेरै अनुक्रमण परिशोधन बुझिते होइबे, जेहेतु श्री भागवते उक्त हइयाचे कृष्णे स्वधामोपगते, अर्थात श्री कृष्ण स्वधामे गमन करिले. And it is also written in the very beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, that is in the 3rd chapter of the 1st canto. The word used is Krishne Swadhamopagate, when Krishna has departed, means past tense, Krishna has already left. Ekhanai Puranarko Adhunoditaha, and then the word used is Purana Arko Adhunoditaha. Now, this beautiful scripture, which is like the sun, has arisen. Means, after Krishna has departed for Goloka Vrindavan, his non-different Srimad Bhagavatam, which is as effulgent as him as the sun, has come into existence. So, again, through this also Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is telling that after Krishna departed, Kali Yuga has already begun. So, this has come into existence, or rather the Vedavyasa Muni has given this scripture after the Kali Yuga has begun. Ataiva ei Srimad Bhagavat Mahabharater pare virachita. Therefore, one has to understand that Srimad Bhagavat has been written after Mahabharata is written. Mahabharata is written much before that. And after Krishna has departed, this Srimad Bhagavat has been written. Means he has written everything, but he was not satisfied after the onset of Kali Yuga. And then he has written. Iha jaha shona jai evang annatra ashtadasa puraner pore Bhagavat ei duiti vake sangat hoibe. And yet others say that after Vedavyasa had compiled all the 18 scriptures, this is the last scripture that he has compiled. This also one will hear. So both of these things are nicely harmonized. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is telling that both of these things, both of these words, like that it is written after Mahabharata and it is written after all the 18 Puranas have been written. Both of these two are very nicely harmonized by understanding that after Krishna departed, this sun has come into manifestation. Srimad Bhagavata sun has come into manifestation. So the purport is, in brief, if the explanation is not understood, Srimad Bhagavat has been written after the Kali Yuga has begun, And before Kali was controlled by Parikshit Maharaj, and this Srimad Bhagavat has been written after Mahabharata and all the other 18 Puranas are compiled. And निवृत्ति निरतंग बोलते ब्रह्मानुभवी श्री सुखदेव के अध्ययन कराइयाचिलन. And even Sukadeva Goswami, who was situated in the Brahman platform, or who has the realization of the Brahman, he was made to study Srimad Bhagavatam, or he was taught Srimad Bhagavatam by Veda Vyasa Muni. Shri Shaunaka Uvacha Savai Nivritti Nirataha सर्वत्रोपेक्षको मुनिः कस्य वा बृहतीमेतामात्मारामः समभ्यसत्. श्री शौनक जिज्ञासा करिलेन, हे सूत, सेई सुखदेव परम निर्विण्ण सर्वत्रोपेक्षाशील अर्थात वीतस्पृह ब्रह्मानंद निमग्न এবং ব্রহ্ম চিন্তারত ছিলেন, তিনি কি নিমিত্তেই বা এই বিস্তৃত ভাগবত সম্যক রূপে অভ্যাস করিয়াছিলেন? সো নাও Shaunaka inquires further from Suta Goswami. My dear Suta, Sukadeva Goswami is a greatly detached person, and he has no affinity towards any of the material objects or places or persons, and he was constantly engrossed in Brahmananda, in the bliss of in the absolute bliss, and in Brahma Chinta he was constantly in the contemplation of the Brahman. Then for what purpose did Sukadeva Goswami study this vast Srimad Bhagavatam? Because Srimad Bhagavatam, there are 12 cantos, 18,000 verses. It's a vast scripture. So he is already situated in that. For what purpose did he? Because all the scriptural knowledge, whatever we study, whatever we hear, that is to anartha upashamaha, in order to free from anarthas, in order to make our mind fixed in Brahman, in order to be thinking about the Supreme Lord always. This is the purpose of hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, or hearing or associating with the devotees, or going through the scriptures. The purpose is to become fixed in Brahman or Supreme. But Sukadeva Goswami is already fixed in the Brahman. Sukadeva Goswami has no attachment to the material things, is completely free from all anarthas, and he was constantly, he is drowned in Brahmananda, is completely in Brahmananda. For what purpose did he read Srimad Bhagavatam, such a vast scripture? What is the purpose of it? Means people like us read, study, it's okay, but why Sukadeva Goswami? Shri Suta Uvacha is one of the very, very common verses that Gaudiya Mata devotees speak. Atmaramascha munayo nirgrantha apyurukrame kurvantya haitukim bhaktim ittam bhuta guno harihi. Then Suta Goswami replied, Atmaramascha munayo brahmananda sukhamagna evam ब्रह्मचिंतारत मुनिगण क्रोधाहंकार मुक्त होयाऊ अमित विक्रम श्री हरीर फलाभिसंधान रहित निष्काम सेवा कुरिया था क्या? केनना भगवान श्रीहरि एतादृश गुण संपन्न जे तिनी आत्माराम गण के आकर्षण कुरिया था क्या? Suta Goswami is replying the glory of Supreme Lord Hari. What is he telling? Brahmananda Sukhamagna, a person who is completely engrossed in the Brahmananda, Brahma Chintarata, and who is always meditating on Brahman, not on material objects, not about material persons, not on material places. Brahman, Brahma Bhuta, he has He is actually meditating on Brahman only, nothing else, and he is constantly in the bliss of the Brahman. Krodha mukta, and they are free from krodha, ahankara means false ego, anger, greed, lust. They have none of these things, because if they have that, then they cannot be meditating on Brahman. They cannot be they cannot be in the bliss of the Brahman. But still they are performing Nishkama Seva. They are serving Supreme Lord Hari without any desires. They already have no desires. They are already free from desires. What does it mean? That they are serving Supreme Lord Hari without any desires? Because Atma Ramas, those who are situated in the Brahman knowledge, or those who are constantly, getting the bliss of the Brahman, what activity they need to perform? They don't need to perform any activity. There is no activity to be performed by them. They are already in the bliss. But still, Suta Goswami is telling that they are serving Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. What is the purpose of their doing any activity? We do any activity for what purpose? To attain peace, happiness, bliss, money, etc., etc. This is what we perform. But those who are in the Brahman state, what activity they need to perform? They don't need to perform anything. But still, is telling that such a person, they are performing service of Supreme Lord Sri Krishna, Nishkama, free from all desires. Why? Why are they performing service? Because Bhagavan Sri Hari etadrisha guna sampanna. It is the beauty of Supreme Lord Sri Krishna, or it is the glory of Supreme Lord Sri Krishna, that he is attracting even them. Those who are already in bliss, he is attracting them also. Those who are in misery, fine. Means those who are very poor, he is attracting. But those who are already rich, Krishna is so rich that he is attracting even the richest persons. I am just giving a material example that he is attracting even the greatly blissful persons. This is the quality of Hari. So the question was, why did Sukadeva Goswami, who is situated in the Brahman knowledge, why did he listen Srimad Bhagavatam? The answer is, the glories of Supreme Lord has got such a capacity that they can attract even them. That's why when Sukadeva Goswami he left Vyasa Muni, entered into the forest, and Vyasa Muni was only shouting, my dear son, my dear son, my dear son, but Sukadeva Goswami was not listening to him. He was simply meditating on Brahman. But even that Sukadeva Goswami got attracted when Vyasa Muni had sent some persons in the forest to recite the glories of Hari. Now, when a person has got some desire, then he will be attracted. Means, if I have some wanting, if I have some desire, and if I hear that if I go there my desire will be fulfilled, then I will get attracted to that person, that is fine. But I have no desire, but still I am getting attracted to that person. What does that mean? That means that person is highly glorious. Even though I have I have no desire absolutely, and I am already blissful. Atmaram, I am already blissful, I am already happy. I don't need anyone's help, anyone's support, I don't need to go to any person. But still I am getting attracted, means definitely Ittam Bhuta Gunai Hari. This is the supreme quality of Hari, that he is attracting the persons like Sukadeva Goswami also. Even the Sanak Sanatan, Sanat Kumar Sanandan, even they got attracted by the glory of Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. Means even those who are in the Brahmananda, they will be attracted by him. Now, The purport of this particular shloka is about 10 pages. This is one of the favorite verses of Gaudiya Math. No, not 10. It is 6, 7.5 pages of purport. Okay, so if I read through this, then you will be going to sleep. So I will stop here, and then we will go very briefly through the purport of this, because it's a very elaborate purport, and this has been discussed by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with Sarvam Bhattacharya, where he has given 26 different meanings, if I am correct. 64 or 26? 64. 64 meanings of Atma Ramasya Muneyo verse has been given. Without touching Sarvam Bhattacharya, he had given some 11 or 12 meanings of this verse. Without touching those 12 meanings, he has explained 64 in 64 different ways. And later, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Sanatana Shiksha to Sanatana Goswami, he explains the same verse in 26 different ways. Which means this is a very, very, this verse has a very, deep meaning and very deep significance to this verse. Therefore, it's not very easy to comprehend also. We will not be able to understand all of it, why there are this different meanings to the same verse. We will not be able to comprehend. Therefore, we will not go into all those details, but we will just, touch some purport by Shri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, and then there is another verse that will conclude our Srimad Bhagavat's advent of Srimad Bhagavat, how it has come and for what purpose Veda Vyasa Muni has given, and what are the benefits of Srimad Bhagavatam. So that we will try to complete tomorrow. Okay, so if you can give me that white paper beneath the printer. There is one white paper. So I just made a note of what all topics we have already gone through. We have started with Nimi Navayogendra's conversation, and then we read Avadut Brahmana's story, narration of Avadut Brahmana. We read the story of Dhruv Maharaj, Vritrasura, King Chitraketu, and then we heard Kunti Devi's prayers, we heard Gajendra's prayers, and now we are almost coming to an end, or we have come to an end, we can say, of how Srimad Bhagavat has come into, material world. Vyasa Narada Samvad, it's a conversation or dialogue between Vyasa and Narada. So these are the 8 topics that we have covered so far. Now I also simultaneously noted down what are other prospective topics, okay, which we will start from day after tomorrow. Tomorrow I will try to conclude. I will not go into the detailed purport, lengthy purport. I will conclude tomorrow, and from day after tomorrow we will go through the new conversation, which I will give option to you, or if you have no option I will take it. So Kapila's instructions, Prithu Maharaj's life, King Puranjana's life, Rishabhadeva's holy life and his activities, his instructions, Bharat Maharaj's holy life, Ajamila's narration. You are saying this also, this also, this also. And then Prahlad, and then there is some beautiful conversations, beautiful story about the churning of the milk ocean, and what has come and how Shiva has taken that. There is Bali and Vamana Deva's conversation. Ambarish Maharaj's narration is there. Brahma's beautiful prayers to Sri Krishna, and then Krishna Uddhava conversation. So these are the different topics. We have 12 topics on hand. I have shortlisted 5. I mean, you don't have to go by that, but I just shortlisted 5. Bharat Maharaj's life, Ajamila, Prahlad, Bali Maharaj and Vamandev, and Ambarish Maharaj. So these are the 5 that I have shortlisted. If you want, you can choose out of this, or otherwise you can tell anything. You have time till tomorrow. You can let me know tomorrow, and day after tomorrow we'll start. Choice is, if there is multiple choice, it's very difficult. There is only one choice, it's easier, isn't it? वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। श्री श्री गुरु गौरांग गांधर्विका गिरिधारी श्री श्री राधा मदन मोहन पंचतत्वात्मक श्री गौर हरि की जय। परमाराधितम पतित पावन स्तोत्र सत श्री श्रीमद् भक्ति वल्लभ तीर्थ गोस्वामी श्री गुरु महाराज की जय। नित्य लीला प्रविष्टम विष्णुपाद स्तोत्र सत श्री श्रीमद् भक्ति दयित माधव गोस्वामी महाराज की जय। जगत गुरु श्री भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी ठाकुर प्रभुपाद की जय। शिष्य रूपानुग गुरु वर्ग की जय। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि श्री गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवत महापुराण की जय। श्री कृष्ण द्वैपायन वेदव्यास महामुनि की जय। श्री श्री नारद गोस्वामी की जय। श्री सुखदेव गोस्वामी की जय। श्री परीक्षित महाराज की जय। श्रीमद् भागवत श्रवणकारी भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री हरिनाम प्रभु की जय। श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय। गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि।